Episode 17, Martin Harris, taken for a fourth time. Welcome back to Hidden and Distorted History of the Church, where we uncover the lesser-known truths about the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints, or the Mormons. My goal is to reveal the authentic historical facts behind the Mormon Church. Recap. In the last episode, we uncovered that Joseph Smith's account of the three witnesses was a fabricated tale. Instead of seeing the supposed golden plates with their physical eyes, Martin Harris was guided through a manipulated vision by Smith. It's highly likely that Smith himself drafted the statements attributed to the 3 and 8 witnesses, coercing them into signing off on a lie, completing the supposed translation. In July of 1829, within the confines of the Whitmer attic, Joseph Smith and Oliver Cowdery finalized the so-called translation of the Book of Mormon. With the manuscript complete, the next hurdle was finding a printer to publish the book. The problem? None of them, except for Martin Harris, had the funds to cover the $3,000 printing cost for 5,000 copies, which would be $101,464 in 2024. Joseph, however, conveniently received a revelation from God directed explicitly at Martin Harris. As recorded in Doctrine and Covenants 19, this revelation commanded Martin to not covet thine own property, but impart it freely to the printing of the Book of Mormon. Impart a portion of thy property, yea, even part of thy lands. Pay the debt thou hast contracted with the printer. Release thyself from bondage. This was not a mere suggestion, but a divine command to mortgage his farm, a staggering amount equivalent to approximately $78,902 today. Despite any hesitation Martin may have had, given that he had yet to see any return on his earlier investments in Smith, he still mortgaged his farm. But why would he take such a risky step? The LDS Church itself provides the answer, stating, to help repay the mortgage on Martin's farm, Joseph Smith gave him the right to sell copies of the book. This is confirmed by the promissory note between Joseph and Martin, which the Church kindly provides for scrutiny. I hereby agree that Martin Harris shall have an equal privilege with me and my friends of selling the Book of Mormon of the edition now printing by Egbert B. Grandin, until enough of them shall be sold to pay for the printing of the same, or until such time as the said Grandin shall be paid for the printing the aforesaid books or copies. This agreement, dated January 16, 1830, and witnessed by Oliver Cowdery, highlights the lengths Joseph went to secure the funds, leveraging Martin's faith and financial resources to achieve his ends. There is a lot of significance in that agreement. Joseph Smith's document reveals that the profits from the Book of Mormon were to be shared between himself and his friends, with Martin Harris receiving an equal portion of this share until the $3,000 was paid back. There's no indication that Martin would receive any additional profit beyond this arrangement. The document specifically mentions that profits would be derived from the printing by Egbert B. Grandin. Who were these friends of Joseph Smith? They likely included the Whitmers, Cowdery, and Hiram Page. Joseph's promises to these individuals suggest a quid pro quo arrangement, financial compensation for their silence regarding the dubious nature of the Book of Mormon's translation. This is corroborated by interviews with Hiram Page and David Whitmer, as well as by records in the Joseph Smith papers. Although the LDS Church initially contested the document's existence, it was rediscovered after 2009, albeit with some edits by Fair. The document states, "It pleaseth me that Oliver Cowdery, Joseph Knight, Hiram Page, and Josiah Stoll shall do my work in this thing, yea, even in securing the copyright, and they shall do it with an eye single to my glory, that it may be the means of bringing souls unto me salvation through mine only begotten. Behold, I am God, I have spoken it. Wherefore I say unto you that ye shall go seeking me continually through mine only begotten, and if ye do this, ye shall have my spirit to go with you." This revelation explicitly instructs these men to secure the copyright with the promise of divine backing, underscoring that the arrangement was less about genuine spiritual endorsement and more about securing financial and cooperative support for Smith's scheme. Joseph Smith, having heard that the Canadian government was buying useful copyrights for $8,000, approximately $28,348.50 in 2024, sent his treasure-digging allies, Joseph Knight Sr., Josiah Stoll, along with Oliver Cowdery and Hiram Page, to Kingston, Ontario. Upon arrival, they discovered that locals had no idea what Joseph's group was referring to and suggested they try another town. This situation reveals two critical issues. One, avoiding payment to Martin Harris. The sale of the copyright in Canada would have allowed Joseph Smith and his group to avoid paying Martin Harris as originally agreed. Their deal specified that profits would come from Book of Mormon sales in the United States through Egbert B. Grandin's press. By securing a separate deal in Canada, they would have been paid $8,000 for the copyright, thus circumventing the need to fulfill their financial obligation to Martin Harris. 2. Failed prophecy. This failed venture highlights a broken prophecy by Joseph Smith. David Whitmer, in interviews from the 1880s, revealed that Joseph had claimed a divine promise of success in selling the copyright in Canada. Marlon K. Jensen, a church historian and apologist, noted on FAIR, "Another interesting development from work on the Revelations and Translations series has been the identification of a previously unpublished revelation on securing a copyright for the Book of Mormon in Canada." David Whitmer, after he left the church, recalled that the revelation promised success in selling the copyright, but upon return of the men charged with the duty, Joseph Smith and others were disappointed by what seemed like failure. Historians have relied upon statements of David Whitmer, Hiram Page, and William McClellan for decades, but have not had the actual text of the revelation. Revelation Book 1 will provide that FAIR attempted to discredit Whitmer by making ad hominem attacks, claiming inconsistencies in his account. However, the Revelation text clarifies, "It pleaseth me that Oliver Cowdery, Joseph Knight, Hiram Page, and Josiah Stoll shall do my work in this thing." This text confirms that the revelation was directed at these individuals and highlights the discrepancies between Whitmer's account and others as they relate to the failed prophecy and the subsequent controversy. FAIR attempts to discredit David Whitmer by arguing, Page also makes no mention or even a hint at disappointment in Joseph Smith, nor is there an accusation that the trip was based upon a false prophecy. So naturally, no subsequent revelation is noted by Page explaining the mission's failure. This is another example of ad hominem attacks on Whitmer while defending Joseph Smith. The text of the revelation given to Oliver Cowdery, Hiram Page, Josiah Stoll, and Joseph Knight, as documented by Smith, clearly states that it was from God. If Joseph Smith received this revelation from God, it would constitute a prophecy. The failure to secure the copyright in Canada reflects directly on this supposed revelation, marking it as a failed prophecy, plain and simple. FAIR's defense amounts to little more than semantic arguments. Here is the revelation as recorded with references to FAIR's edits and assertions. A. Revelation given to Oliver, Hiram, Josiah, Stoll, and Joseph Knight, given at Manchester, Ontario County, New York. Behold, I, the Lord am God, I created the heavens and the earth, and all things that in them is, wherefore they are mine. And I sway my scepter over all the earth, and ye are in my hands to will and to do, that I can deliver you of every difficulty and affliction, according to your faith and diligence and uprightness. Before me, and I have covenanted with my servant Joseph, that earth nor hell combined against him shall not take the blessing out of his hands which I have prepared for him, if he walketh uprightly before me, neither the spiritual nor the temporal blessing. Behold, I also covenanted with those who have assisted him in my work, that I will do unto them even the same, because they have done that which is pleasing in my sight. Yea, even all save it be one only. Wherefore be diligent in securing the copyright of my work upon all the face of the earth, of which is known by you unto my servant Joseph, and unto him whom he willeth, according as I shall command him, that the faithful and the righteous may retain the temporal blessing as well as the spirit, and also that my work be not destroyed by the workers of iniquity to the own destruction and damnation when they are fully ripe. And now behold, I say unto you that I have covenanted, and it pleaseth me that Oliver Cowdery, Joseph Knight, Hiram Page, and Josiah Stoll shall do my work in this thing, yea, even in securing the copyright. They shall do it with an eye single to my glory, that it may be the means of bringing souls unto me, salvation through mine only. Begotten, behold, I am God, I have spoken it. Wherefore I say unto you, that ye shall go seeking me continually through mine only. And if ye do this, ye shall have my spirit to go with you, and ye shall have an addition of all things which is expedient in. And I grant unto my servant a privilege that he may sell a copyright through you, speaking after the manner of men for the 4 provinces, if the people harden not their hearts against the enticings of my spirit and my word, for behold, it lieth in themselves to their condemnation. Salvation, behold, my way is before you, and the means I will prepare, and the blessing I hold in mine own hand. And if ye are faithful, I will pour out upon you even as much as ye are able to bear, and thus it shall be. Behold, I am the Father, and it is through mine only begotten, which is Jesus Christ, your Redeemer. Amen. Fair's website shows Joseph Smith's name has been struck out, replacing it with a suggestion that the revelation was given to Oliver and the others, who gave Fair the authority to edit documents to fit their own dogma, obscuring the truth and altering historical records. Fair's claims are rife with deception. They state, the primary evidence supporting the negative aspects of the Canadian mission story comes from David Whitmer, who was not a participant in the event, and who had left the church many years before. This assertion is blatantly misleading. David Whitmer did not leave the church until 1838, well after the Canadian copyright mission. By the time of the mission, he was a member, albeit not a participant. However, as one of the church's early members, at a time when the Colesville and Palmyra congregations had yet to be established, Whitmer was certainly within his rights to comment on church activities. Are the LDS apologists implying that Whitmer's testimony is invalid simply because he had left the church nearly 50 years later? They seem to cherry-pick sources to support their views, conveniently ignoring Whitmer's testimony when it suits them. The Canadian mission was shrouded in secrecy from the outset. Joseph Smith had every incentive to hide the fact that he was attempting to bypass Martin Harris and that one of his prophecies had spectacularly failed. Joseph Smith's failed attempt to secure a copyright in Canada was a critical setback. While Oliver Cowdery and his associates were sent on this ill-fated mission, Joseph was in New England, actively seeking a printer for the Book of Mormon. Despite finding some cheaper offers, Smith opted to print locally in Palmyra. According to the LDS Study History Topics website, Smith faced rejections from printers due to the size of the book and the lack of experienced staff. They also claim it took considerable persuasion to secure a local printer. However, the reality is that while some printers were hesitant due to religious claims, many offered reasonable prices. The crux of the issue was that Smith refused to leave the manuscript with any printing company, preferring instead to keep it close at hand. This reluctance to part with the manuscript meant that Smith was compelled to print in Palmyra with Egbert B. Grandin, despite the higher cost. This choice ensured that he could closely monitor the manuscript and maintain control over the printing process. The church downplays the significant financial sacrifice Martin Harris made, stating only that he covered some of the costs of printing. In reality, Harris mortgaged a portion of his farm and sold an additional 151 acres to fund the project, an enormous personal expense. Recall earlier in the series when I first introduced Smith as a young boy and mentioned his limp leg, how he had a friend, Porter Rockwell. Well, Porter also helped pay for the Book of Mormon, or did he? Only a teenager, Porter is claimed to have picked berries during the night and hauled wood into Palmyra to help pay for the publishing. Now we are looking at a lot of money back then to print the Book of Mormon, so much that Harris had to finance his farm and land to do so. How much money would young Porter be earning to donate to Joseph? Here we have nothing more than a feel-good story and focus taken off of poor Martin, who just got swindled a 4th time by Joseph. Conclusion: the Canadian mission highlights significant issues with Joseph Smith's claims and financial dealings. The attempt to secure a copyright in Canada was a failure, exposing a problematic prophecy and a scheme to bypass financial obligations to Martin Harris. Fair's attempts to discredit key witnesses and alter historical documents only obscure the truth. The reality remains that Martin Harris's substantial personal sacrifice was pivotal in financing the Book of Mormon, while Joseph Smith's handling of the situation, including the questionable role of young Porter Rockwell, underscores a pattern of exploitation and deception. As we continue to uncover these hidden truths, it becomes increasingly clear that the history of the LDS Church is fraught with contradictions and manipulations. Please watch for future videos, and thank you so kindly for watching. This is the Ex-Mormon Informant signing off for the day.